Because if you were to get hired by a company here in Salon, they will pay for your flight to come here. Some of them will pay for your housing, your hospital bills. Hi guys, so I've got my dear friend Golda with me.
Hi.
And I know you guys have heard me talk about her a lot. She's been in most of my vlogs, and literally I've already told you guys a little bit about how we met and all this type of stuff, but I think we're gonna go into how we met on a different video that we're gonna do. But for now, I really wanted Golda to come on to share her story about how she found work here in Salon and how she's been a young professional here who's come from Denmark, and just really give some tips to some of you out there, because I know there's so many of you who are thinking about moving to Africa, coming to the continent, looking for work, either to start a business. I really wanted to start here. So firstly, thank you, Golda, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I'm just going to start off first. So you are a Suriname.
Yes.
And were you born in Suriname?
Yes, I was born here in Freetown in the early 90s.
90s, baby. But you lived predominantly all your life in Denmark.
Yeah. So I left Freetown at the age of 3. Yeah.
So for some of you who may know Golda, one of the things you tend to do online is mainly focus on health, nutrition, all this different type of stuff.
Yeah.
However, one thing that really inspires me about you is the change that you've made in your career. If you can just go into your new change, your new career that you've got into, and why inspired you to start this new career here in Salon.
Okay. Being a business development person in a small startup in Denmark.
Yeah.
And then when COVID hit, I lost that job, and COVID was like a wake-up call for me. So it was like, okay, now you're in tech, you do still have a background in health. What do you actually want to do? And I've always wanted to be on the continent and work in my country. So I just went online and started looking up people who were related to tech, development, business development specifically, and then health. And then I got this opportunity.
Okay, so you decided, like I personally know you went from working in health, specializing in more health, starting your own coaching business to now project management.
Yes.
So what was it? Obviously you went through a career change. I know many of you have also gone through a career change, but you transited into your new career change here in Salon, and you got your first job in a project management here.
Yes.
But just go through your journey, like how this process started, how you landed your role, because I know many people are watching this that they want to know how to do that transition.
Yeah. So one thing that I know a lot of people deal with is the imposter syndrome, right? So while I was looking to do this transition, I was constantly thinking that people are going to judge me based on my educational background, and that's going to limit me. What I tried to do, and the advice that I was given, is to look at your transferable skills. So what are skills that you learn through your education or your professional background that can be used in other fields that are not specifically academic?
Yeah.
Skills such as communication skills, you know, if you're good with computers, if you're good at writing. So when I started to apply, I changed my CV. I was highlighting those transferable skills, and my educational background is still on my CV, but it takes less space because that's not what I was selling. So when I would apply, I went on LinkedIn. I spent lots of time on LinkedIn. I used LinkedIn Sales Navigator. That's a special aspect of LinkedIn that you can use to kind of find specific people depending on their niche.
Yeah.
So finding HR personnels, writing them.
And when you were applying for your for work specifically, let's focus in Suriname because obviously this is where you landed.
Yeah.
How was that process like? Did you know, I know you mentioned you started contacting HR managers and Suriname and all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
But how long did that process take, like for you to get there?
So it took a few months because, of course, COVID had just hit. So people's response rate was a bit faster than usual. However, because COVID hit, people were quite uncertain about the positions that would be available in their companies. So when I actually contacted people. I didn't say, hey, I'm looking for a job. I actually said, hey, my name is Golda. I'm interested in relocating to the continent. Are you available for virtual coffee dates?
That's really good.
Yeah, and some people, I met some people who didn't actually give me a job, but other people in a similar position that had relocated years before who gave me advice. I also just spoke to young professionals who was just like, well, I'm also starting my career. I live in Sierra Leone. I do this. Maybe you should contact this person. So I was actually referred to the person that ended up hiring me.
Okay, and then, so when you refer to this person and you message this person, whether you're comfortable or not to mention where you work, you don't have to say it.
Yeah.
But when you contact this person, was it like, did they give you tips in terms of like what the company was looking for, how to do your CV, or was it more of like, okay, you contacted them and they just like told you about a role that was available?
Yeah, so as I said, the hiring manager themselves did not give me any tips. They just said, well, this is what we're going to have available in the next few months. So I think it took 2 months for them to respond, and then they said, hey, this is coming up. Can you move at this time? And actually at that time I couldn't move. It was quite early for me. However, other people gave me tips on my CV and everything. So when the hiring manager asked me to send my CV, I already had it ready.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one major advice I would give is that constantly be working on that CV, because although you're just doing virtual coffee dates, if they like the conversation, they can quickly be like, oh yeah, I have to go, send me your CV, I'll send it to someone who can look at it.
Yeah, that's really, really good.
Yeah.
And I really like the fact that you because obviously you didn't know anybody majorly in Sierra Leone, you started off by just creating relationships with people, and then from there, as discussion went on, and then an opportunity came out of it. And I think that's a really great pro tip. I'm actually going to take that myself. All right, so when you started with your new job, did you start with a contract that was a job straight away, or did you have like a journey to start off with? Because I know obviously with you started interning first.
Yeah.
Why was it important for you to intern first rather than go straight away into a paid job?
Yeah, so I really like this question because internships can seem a bit redundant for some people, because they're like, oh well, I have a degree, I should be paid this and this. And as much as that's important, when you're switching into a new field, you want to build that trust with your hiring manager. You want to show them that you're willing to invest in the work and that you're willing to learn, because at the end of the day, when you're coming with your transferable skills, you still have to learn the specifics of that field. So for me, an internship was a way for me to, in a relaxed, chilled way, without the pressure of having to deliver, just kind of get introduced to this new field. What is project management? What is project management in Sierra Leone? Because it's quite different from country to country and different contexts and what people actually demand.
For those who are watching who are thinking about doing a career transition, would you say to them that Africa is a good place to do that transition?
Definitely. And the reason why I say definitely is because you have opportunities here that will take you years to be granted outside of the continent. Why? Because there's a greater need. It's basic need and demand,
I really like that you just mentioned that here there's a greater demand.
Yeah.
And that they're looking for skill sets.
Yes.
To talk about, I think a lot of people, when they think about coming into the continent, they forget that they can come in different ways. They can come in as an expert.
Yeah.
They can, and also they don't know about some of the resources that companies are able to provide them.
Yeah.
And I think even me, I wasn't aware until I saw people like you and Tracy talk about all the different things that your job were able to do for you while you came here. But can you just go into detail about some of the things that a job, some of the things that a job can provide you when you make the move?
Yeah. So if you do come through work, as me and some of my friends did, then you can get covered housing. I have friends that they are covering her housing and furniture. You can get allowance. You can get a driver. There companies that need you so much that they will make sure you have the most comfortable life that can remind you of the life that you left.
And also, I think really very important one is that they actually cover your hospital costs.
Hospital costs and flights.
And flights.
And
as well.
sometimes they cover you visiting your family again.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I think I wanted to really highlight that as well, is because that takes away from a lot of your financial issues that you may have. You know, the financial things that are making you feel like you don't want to come here. Because if you were to get hired by a company here in Salon, they will pay for your flight to come here. Some of them will pay for your housing, your hospital bills. You get a driver. You get a company car, just as you would in the Western country. But the only extra bit is they'll give you a house. And I think anyone that's coming from a different country working, coming to another country, is they have to provide those things. And Africa also provides those things as well, and so on. So you've mentioned the good things about your experience. Just give some people some advice about, I may not say negative, but certain things they should be aware of when they are looking for work in a continent. But some of the things that you'd say for people to look out for, you know, when they are coming to get a job here in a continent.
Yeah. So one thing we always talk about, right, is your why. I would start there. Number one advice, know your why, because you have to be intentional. If you are not strong in your why, it's going to strongly discourage you. This is a different country than the one I was raised in. It's a different culture. It's a different mentality. They're very intelligent people here. However, their approach to work and maybe even their work ethic is very different than mine, because of the lifestyle that they have had is different than mine. So me coming and expecting people to have the same type of approach to work that I have can be a bit frustrating, right? However, that is teaching me how to deal with different types of people. And I think a lot of diasporas come back with that frustration. They say things move really slowly. You don't necessarily get to do everything that you want to do because you're dependent on someone else doing their task. And that's the reality of working here. So be prepared to deal with human beings. That's what I would say. Be prepared to have a culture shock. Be prepared to miss your friends, your family back home. All these things will just be another experience, and it will be a part of the journey. You become more adaptable.
Okay, moving on, let's talk about your adaptation here in Salon. You know, you've left home, you've moved to Salon, you're a working professional. When you look back, are you happy with your decision?
I'm very happy.
Why are you happy?
I said that really quickly. I'm very happy.
You're happy, but would you go back to Denmark?
Honestly speaking, no, I would not. And it's because, again, this was intentional. The move was intentional for me, and I see the benefits. Yes, there have been challenges. There have been different, like, emotional states where I'm like having to consider. There's the weather.
It's hot every day. It's summer every day.
Yeah, but now it's raining every day. So so even that, but I'm just happy to the exposure I've gotten, because it's a different type of exposure. I mean, when you're outside, the exposure is different. People, culture, and you meet the Pakistan, the Indians, the Serbians, all that stuff. Here, everybody looks like you, and for the most part, everyone has the same culture. However, there's a different type of exposure. Because the country is so small, you get exposed again to organizations, to people in high positions, to people that have gone before you. So I am not at all like it was a really good move, and for me, again, Denmark served its purpose, but I needed to come here and I needed to be challenged in this way.
That's amazing. And before we close off, what advice would you give to a young person who is watching this video right now, who is thinking, I want to move to the continent, I'm a little bit worried I may not have a professional job or be able to finance myself? What advice would you give them?
You don't have to have it all figured out. It took me many years to do this move. The first time I came on the African continent was 2014, right? And now we're in 2021. I'm not saying that it's going to take you this many years to plan. However, sometimes those worries that we have, opportunity arises. So I would say keep your eyes open, but be prepared. How did I prepare myself? I made sure that I saved up money. I made sure that regardless of what was going to happen, I would be able to support myself financially. I would be able to eat, have a place to stay, like the basics. That's
So
true.
I really do hope that the short conversation, Golden, I've had with you really inspires you guys young people to come to Salon, bring your skill sets to
Yes,
Salon
please.
or
Yes,
any
please.
other African country, because we are having the time of our life here. Like honestly, like, and we have made friendships, like look at us, you know, we're friends. And if you don't know anybody in Africa, it doesn't matter, because you will meet your tribe. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be back with another video that talks about how you can go ahead and find work and really position yourself here in Salon. Thank you for watching, and subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.